Hello and welcome everyone to Iron Port, where we bring Ghana's ports and maritime industry closer to you. Iron Port is proudly brought to you by Ghana Revenue Authority, GOIL, PLC Serene Insurance, Ghana Link, Meridian Port Services and Phoenix Insurance. It is powered by Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Our media partner is the Business and Financial Times. Viewers, this week we got in touch with three distinguished individuals in our sector to have a candid conversation on the state of Ghana's shipping industry and how we can empower the private sector for success. This comes on the back of a memorial forum held in honor of the late Alhaji Asuma Banda, who is considered by many as a trailblazer so far as private sector contribution to the sector is concerned. This is an excerpt of that discussion. Take a listen.
From you, as president of the Ghana Chamber of shipping in our country, you've been in the industry for a very long while. You've been a key player, big player all this while. I can mention a litany of organizations that you have run tailored towards enhancing and improving the Ghana shipping industry. I just want to find out from you candidly what your assessment of our shipping industry as of now is.
What is the state of the maritime sector in Ghana? I think that to understand this fully, we need to have a view of the different or the two main facets of the sector.
Right.
I say the international shipping that facilitates our international trade. And when I say international trade, I'm talking about imports and exports. That international trade is carried by sea, mainly 95% seaborne. In respect of that facet of our shipping sector or maritime sector, and I use the word shipping because maritime sector encompasses things beyond mainly shipping. You can go to the fishing sector, the fishery sector, and so on and so forth. But let's dwell on the shipping aspects of it. And so as far as that is concerned, that aspect of our shipping industry is concerned, I think that we own the ports, Port of Takoradi and Tema. That's the main two infrastructure that we own, state-owned and run by GPHA. But from the ports down to the lowest aspect of the maritime value chain or the shipping value chain, we own very little. And so we have that aspect of our shipping doing very well because we are being served by international shipping lines. Right. They carry our cargoes in and out of the country, and we have very, if you like, blue chip companies that are doing this. You have the Maersk, and they know their trade, and they're very good at it, and they're serving us quite well. Of course, the cost of serving us is something that we've worried about and talked about immensely. I mean, you're talking about freight and all the other charges that go to bringing cargo in and taking cargo out. So that's one aspect of it. And we are well connected to all our trading partners, China, Europe, and the rest of it, through the services being provided by international shipping lines. The other aspect of our shipping industry that one needs to talk about is the local shipping industry. I'm talking about short sea shipping between Takoradi and Tema ports, our inland waterways, whether we are actually using them to carry cargo and persons from the coastal areas to the hinterland and so on. We are properly utilizing our rivers and other inland waterways. That, I would say, is virtually non-existent. But the sad aspect of that is actually the aspect of shipping that our future as a country and the future of Africa depends upon. If we don't have short sea shipping properly established, we don't have coastal shipping properly established, we don't have inland waterways properly established, then we would be dependent upon other people's maritime services to carry our goods across. bring our goods to us. And in today's world where, geopolitics is shifting, and you have the desire of most countries to have their production centers close to their consumption, then the need for us directly benefiting from and profiting from our maritime industry it becomes extremely important. And so that's how I'll describe it. Our long-haul shipping needs are being met by international shipping lines. Our local shipping needs are not properly being attended to. We virtually do not have a thriving local shipping industry owned by Ghanaians and profiting from by Ghanaians. And we don't also, by extension, we do not have an intra-African shipping industry, which is also critical for our prosperity as a country and for the prosperity of our continent. So this is how I would say what the state is at the moment. So all the regulatory institutions we have, GMA, GSA, the Ghana Shippers Authority, the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, the Volta Lake Transport Company or Authority, all these regulatory institutions, I say, are superintending over our international shipping industry. And we are actually import dependent as far as that is also concerned. I think that the figure that is being said to be what we are spending in importing shipping services is $2 billion. That's how much we are spending to buy other people's transport services. You cannot prosper as a country or as a continent if you don't have a thriving shipping industry. That's a fact. I mean, that's an economic fact. And we can't get away from that. So there's a lot to be done. On the one hand, as far as international trade is concerned, our international trade and therefore international transport services are concerned, there's a lot to be done to see how we can tap into a lot more of that value chain and then reduce the cost of importing and exporting. And then there's everything to be done to build from ground up a local shipping industry.
CAGL is into oil fields, logistics and all that. I just want to find out from you, what are the biggest challenges in your quest to operate in Ghana's maritime sector as far as your area is concerned?
The sector that we operate in, which is the oil fields logistics, our biggest barrier is access to capital. Maritime logistics require heavy upfront investment in vessels, equipment, specialized equipment, and all those things. But unfortunately, our local market does not have financing options for an industry like ours. Even the ones that have, they are what was the name?
Prohibitive.
Yes, prohibitive. They are way too expensive for you to want to engage them. Stanley said something. You're paying at 33%. Those days were even better. We got all the way to somewhere almost 52% interest. So you can imagine looking for funds to buy a vessel. You would be paying the vessel in USD, dollars, right? And then you are working in Ghana, receiving CD. And you did your forecast with maybe 1:3, and then all of a sudden it shifts to 1:17. I mean, everything is thrown
overboard.
See, so funding is one. The governments look at the capital market and interests is another. That's inflation and others is another. Issues like regulation, because you are dealing with a myriad of regulators. We have GPHA coming in, you have Petroleum Commission coming in, you have GRA coming in, you have GSA, Food and Drugs. You know, we deal with everybody for just one thing. So you have to license with GPHA, it's costing you money. Your license with Petroleum Commission is costing you money. Your license with Mineral Commission is costing you money. And just one sector. And the interesting part of it is most of these sectors all charge us in USD. Yes, we are not allowed to take USD.
In Ghana,
So you can imagine, we're working in a sector, it's as if it's set up in a way that those of us who have decided to go into that area, yes, you have decided to venture into that thing, so the system will have to work against you. That is how it feels. And I dare say, if you ask my other colleagues in the industry, they'll tell you. Because of that, most of us are moving out of the Ghana market. Yes. So for someone like myself, I'm in Ivory Coast today. CAGL is in Ivory Coast today.
Right.
We're in Conakry. We are in Senegal. Those places, you deal with the one-stop shop.
Right.
You don't have to be talking to GPHA, talk to GRA, talk to Petroleum Commission, talk to Minerals Commission, talk to Food and Drugs Board because of chemicals and others coming in, talk to EPA. I mean, you have to deal with national security. It's too cumbersome.
Can you not advocate for such a one-stop shop to be created for you?
We are discussing with the Chamber of Shipping, to see if they can bring the Shipping Master's Office back into town again, the Commissioner of Shipping, so that we have a one-stop shop where we deal everything with just that one person. Because
is it a situation with the countries you've mentioned, Cote d'Ivoire, Conakry?
Most
Senegal?
of them, you're dealing with one person. Most of them, you go there, yes, initially for your registration and others, they will tell you, okay, you have to register with the ministry and this and that and that. But when you are done with that, when you are operating, there's one person you are dealing with, and that's it.
Right.
I mean, interestingly, in Ghana, for instance, you end up creating, you tell us we should do paperless at the port, right? We do everything online, yet we have to print the paper and be walking around from shop to shop, which is medieval.
Let me come to you, Madam Maria, and find out from you how we can, as a country, improve the environment for private sector-led infrastructure projects in the shipping industry. Are there any prescriptions you would want to proffer?
Yes, and thanks for that, Kennedy. So, private sector needs support in order to be able to carry out these large infrastructure projects. The first way of doing that would be to de-risk the project or de-risk the investment for private sector. How can this be done? For example, the laws. If we have laws on our books and they are enforced properly, then there's certainty and there's clarity about the regulatory environment within which the private sector is operating. The second way is for government, if possible, to make available some of its resources to de-risk projects or to support private sector to engage or to participate in these projects. Let me give you an example. Earlier on, I talked about how early stage project financing was difficult to find, and how it was a challenge that we had to overcome. If, for example, there was a maritime development fund, maybe managed by GMA or GSA, that fund could provide, say, $1 million in early stage funding to projects that are, in their view, in line with Ghana's maritime strategy.
Right.
So that that money could fund that development and then move the project a little bit up the risk ladder in order for external funding, bank funding to come through to support the project. And then thirdly, I think Mr. Holu spoke about that. It's really about trust. If we can improve the relationships between private sector and public sector, that would help to encourage more investments in the maritime space.
In terms of zero net emissions, the plans are far afoot for us to hit there by 2050. What do you think are the challenges that this may pose for Ghana? Are we likely to get there? And what should we be doing?
Kennedy.
Yes.
Yeah, so incidentally, I'm in London where tomorrow begins the 83rd meeting of the Marine Environmental Protection Committee of the International Maritime Organization, where crucial decisions are going to be taken about how to get shipping industry to achieve net zero by 2050. Now, decarbonization means that ships will have to use fuels that emit less carbon and therefore be more friendly for the environment. But these new fuels, these cleaner fuels, are almost 4 times more expensive than our traditional diesel that they use now, which means that cost differential between diesel and hydrogen-based fuels, which are have zero carbon, that cost differential needs to be covered. And that means that every user of shipping services across the world will have to pay a little more extra to compensate for the additional cost that comes from using cleaner fuels.
Right.
For us in Africa and in Ghana, it's a bit more, we will pay a little more, disproportionately more, as a result of the existing, different existing freight imbalances that we have. So that's one factor. Cost will go up. Also, in terms of the fleet we have now, if they may struggle, the ships on our register may struggle to comply with the fuel intensity targets that may be set, and so we may end up with them being obsolete or uneconomic to operate. But there are also advantages that we need to let me just take the opportunity to highlight, because Ghana has immense natural resources, at least for solar, and so decarbonization puts us in a good position to embrace green technologies and adopt solar and battery power solutions in our ports in Tema and Takoradi, so that way ships that are looking to comply will be able to do so when they come to Ghana, because then they can switch off their engines and emit less, and that means their compliance costs will be lower. We also have the opportunity to fill in the gap of seafarers, shortage of seafarers globally. There are reports which show that by 2026, there could be as many as 90,000 seafarers shortfall in the global shipping community. Now, Ghana is well placed to be able to fill in that gap quite significantly. For starters, our country is on the IMO whitelist, which means that we are recognized as implementing the STCW convention effectively, and so Ghanaian seafarers are well trained, well qualified. We also have youthful population who are unemployed, and we have the Regional Maritime University in Ghana. So that puts us in a good stead to take advantage of decarbonization and produce workforce to support the industry.
So viewers, you just heard from Stanley Raja Holu, who is the president of the Ghana Chamber of Shipping, Maria Ogbugo, who is a maritime consultant, as well as Dr. Amoako Mensah, who is the president and founder of CAGL Group, who told us their opinions on how we can take actionable steps to propel the private sector for success. Now, this is the abridged version. For the full entire conversation, check with our YouTube Eye on Port for the entire discussion. Now, let's hear from you on some comments you shared with us on the subject we have just discussed. After, we will go on break and then return with more news. Stay tuned.
Nadia from Sakumono says, your delivery was so practical. Dr. Amoako, we need more honest discussion like this about doing business in Ghana's shipping sector. Ben Azure from Accra says, fantastic submission, Maria. Especially loved your point about making maritime infrastructure projects bankable.
Good energy brings you quality choices with Goil Super XP. Available in many Goil stations nationwide. It is fortified with special additives that help your engine perform better and use less fuel. Branch into a GOIL station today and energize your ride with GOIL Super XP, compatible with most vehicles. GOIL Super XP, who feel ya? Huh? Who be feel? GOIL, good energy. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Yeah. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, streetlights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is, you still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
Business and life can be like the sea sometimes. Sometimes serene, sometimes calm, sometimes turbulent, and at times it brings the unexpected. However it is like, trust Phoenix Insurance for your home, car, business, and marine insurance needs. Call 0302-246-319 or 0243-690-492.
At Phoenix, you experience a delightful service delivered with wisdom.
Welcome back, viewers. It is now time for our local news segment. The first quarter stakeholder meeting for the Tema Fishing Harbour has been held, bringing together fishermen, fishmongers, regulators, and other key players in Ghana's fishing supply chain. The gathering served as a platform to discuss regulatory matters and industry development while also recognizing the contributions of 21 individuals who have significantly impacted the country's fishing sector. A major highlight of the event was the announcement that key streets and structures within the Fishing Harbour enclave would be named after these distinguished figures. Among them is Madame Aku Kansi, a pioneering member of the Ghana Fishmongers Association, who has been instrumental in advancing the interests of fish processors and traders. The meeting also featured discussions on regulatory and operational issues affecting the industry. Representatives from the National Communications Authority addressed licensing requirements for fishing vessels using radio and communication equipment. Additionally, officials from the Tema shipyard presented their maintenance services tailored for fishing vessels, particularly during the annual close season when boats undergo repairs. The Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority's Fire and Safety Department also engaged industry players on critical safety precautions within the harbour enclave. Engineer Stephen Ampiao, General Manager of the Tema Fishing Harbour, commended the participants for their commitment to strengthening the fishing industry and underscored the importance of collaboration in sustaining Ghana's fisheries sector.
Normally, the stakeholder meeting is preceded by a steering committee meeting which sets up the agenda and major issues of interest to all players in the fishing enclave. And then once we agree on an agenda, we come to the stakeholder and we prefer solutions and we discuss the issues and make sure that we are together as one team, moving the fishing industry together.
Meridian Port Services Cooperative Credit Union has donated essential medical equipment to the Adult Emergency Unit of Tema General Hospital as part of its 10th anniversary celebrations. The donation included an electric blood pressure monitor, examination gloves, a finger pulse oximeter, an ECG machine, thermometers, and methylated spirit. The total cost of the equipment exceeds 50,000 Ghana cedis. Speaking at the presentation, Aaron Ebo Amamensa, chairman of the MPS Cooperative Credit Union, emphasized the union's commitment to meeting the needs of its members while also giving back to the community. He noted that the donation was based on direct consultation with the hospital to ensure the equipment provided met their most pressing needs.
This is the first time MPS Credit Union is donating such equipment to the hospital. But then we want to continue on this level. It's our 10th anniversary, we want to celebrate it on a grand level. So we decided to come to the emergency unit of the Tema General Hospital to donate these items. Basically, we want to do a lot of community work. We want to serve our community as well.
Dr. Richard Anthony, Medical Director of Tema General Hospital, expressed gratitude for the donation, highlighting its significance to the emergency unit. He noted that the equipment is used daily and will complement existing resources, especially as older machines wear out over time.
There's always need, like equipment you've donated, even supporting us in maintenance of some of our infrastructures. You know, this hospital was built in 1954, so we all need help.
The gesture reinforces MPS Cooperative Credit Union's dedication to supporting healthcare and strengthening its community impact.
Let us now turn our attention to the global stage and pick a few international shipping and maritime related news.
Japan's Ineos is joining AP Moller Holding and Maersk in investing $100 million in C2X, a green methanol developer launched in 2023. The funds will support the Beaver Lake Renewable Energy Project in Louisiana, which will convert biomass into low-carbon methanol using Sangas Renewables gasification technology. The facility will also capture and sequester 1 million tons of CO2 annually. Construction begins in late 2026 with production of 500,000 tons of green methanol per year expected by 2028. Valued at $2.4 billion, Beaver Lake is the first of several planned by Sangas and C2X, repurposing a former international paper site. C2X is also developing projects in Spain, Egypt, and the US, with Maersk and others as potential buyers. Ineos' investment includes a strategic partnership for methanol offtake and integrating Sangas technology. With this backing, C2X aims at expanding its global methanol production. 2 European river cruise boats were involved in separate collisions last week, one on the Rhine near Duisburg, Germany, and another in Poland's Zeszczyszyn Lagoon. The first incident occurred early Saturday when a Dutch river cruise vessel collided with a Dutch cargo ship near Wedenspellen, tearing a large hole in the cruise ship's port bow. Fortunately, All 140 passengers and crew were unharmed and both vessels remained afloat. The Duisburg Water Police detained the cargo vessel's master for investigations, while Germany's Waterways and Shipping Authority launched a separate inquiry. The second collision happened Monday evening in Poland's Zeszczyszyn Lagoon when the cruise vessel Janka-Jerk struck the fuel barge Agnot near Shelminek Island. The Janka-Jerk sustained significant bow damage while the Agnot had minor above waterline damage. Both vessels reached a safe pier, but 8 people suffered minor injuries and an elderly woman was hospitalized. Polish authorities are now investigating the cause of the accident.
Now for our Word of the Day segment, where we break down jargons, terminologies that we often use in this industry so you can get familiar with them. We'll tell you today what we mean by barge.
Barge. A barge is a flat-bottomed vessel designed primarily for transporting cargo in inland waterways such as rivers and canals and in harbours. Typically, barges are unpowered and require towing by tugboats or propulsion by towboats to navigate. They are essential in maritime industry for moving large quantities of goods efficiently over water.
Now for this week's health and safety tip, we focus on the importance of safety signages.
Safety signage. It is used to highlight potential hazards and provide important safety information in the workplace. It helps promote a safe environment by keeping employees informed about safety precautions and policies. The next time you see a safety signage, kindly comply.
It's now time for the schedule of vessels in the port of Tema and Takoradi, like the ones lined up behind me. Those at the anchorage, those expected in the coming weeks, plus the Bank of Ghana exchange rates, which you may need to know to clear your cargo with. Now viewers, this is where we end today's edition of Eye on Port. We hope you've been informed and educated. Remember, all Eye on Port content can be found on our YouTube channel, Eye on Port. Subscribe, like and share our videos. Thank you for watching.